So we have understood different API methods as we have worked on get, put, post, delete because they are very important when we are building a web application. We have also seen how to build a simple Flask application. The good thing is we have also hosted it on ngrok. That's how we differentiated it, and make sure you follow some strict guidelines when you are using ngrok. Make sure you use only Wi-Fi, not through LAN connection, because ngrok doesn't allow your port to get connected, right? Now let's work on our hands-on project, which as previously we have worked on building a virtual assistant. Now we'll see how to build our own simple registration form by using some simple front end, where we'll be using some HTML libraries, where we'll generally go for using Bootstrap over there. No worries, I'll just make it very simple to make it understand. So but before that, let's write our backend code, which is in Python. So for that, I'll go to my environment where I have created projects. Let's go to the previous environment. I have created on my desktop and my folder name is projects, right? So here we have two folders which are, so let me just make it view, right? We have Saket is my virtual environment and this is our project, the first project, which is virtual assistant. Now we'll create one more folder so that I clearly mention we'll have multiple project folders within the same main directory, so that your environment will have all the supporting project libraries, so that we don't have any discrepancies and dependencies don't happen. So first let's open our terminal from here. Make sure you just go to the folder and type cmd over there. Now you know how to create a simple folder, right? You generally go by right click and you follow the method. What I'll do is I'll just give mkdir and our project is building API. So I just give building API. There you go. If you have gone to next line, that means that folder is successfully created and you can see it's an empty folder, right? So you can also access it by giving tab, right? Now we have successfully got this new folder, and first we'll create a Python file in that, then we'll go for the remaining things. So first I'll go to that file. That file name is cd. So I'll just go for building. I just give building API. Now in this particular folder, I would like to create a Python file. Whether I use it as a module or a package, that is different. So if you want to create a simple programming file, you can just use a shortcut as notepad. And what is our file name? It's up to you. You can give registration form. So this is our file name. I'm just making it in this way, and give the extension. If you're working on C, Java or any kind of programming language, you can use this shortcut to create that particular programming file, right? So registration form.py, but you should have that supporting software to be existed in your environment. Now there you go. It will ask us whether if you want to create a new file. Yes, obviously. There you go. Automatically you have a Python file created. You can see it here. It's an empty file, right? You can clearly observe how does that is created. Now what we'll do is we need to go into the environment. If you remember, how did we do that? Yes, first I'll come out of this and I'll dig into my environment, which is Saket. But how did you do this? You should go for giving cd, not giving tab directly. If you go to that environment, then automatically you, with this virtual environment, you can access each and everything. So first we'll activate this environment. We'll give / then scripts, and I'll tell this environment to be activated. There you go. Then you can come out of this. You can access any of the folder. It's up to you. Now within our project folder, we'll start working on it. So first we'll make sure our environment is activated, because when you just give pip freeze or pip list, you already worked on couple of libraries, right? It will throw you whatever the list of libraries or packages we have in the particular environment. It is giving you the list. See, we have worked on beautiful soup, play sound, PyAudio and speech recognition, right? No worries about the pip upgradation. It is fine. You can just follow the simple syntax here to upgrade it. It's fine. Now we'll dig into our environment and we'll start working on our file, because we need not need anything like installation, but we only need mainly Flask and ngrok. First we'll install that, then while execution part we can directly go for it, because in this particular video my aim is to make you understand how do we create a simple registration class. Because in your registration form, what do you have generally? You have sign up and login, right? Obviously, even when you go to Amazon, suppose if you go to amazon.in, if you don't have any account, if you just see it here, new customer, he'll tell it to start here. Create an Amazon account, he'll give multiple fields. He'll ask your number, mobile number, email ID, everything he'll ask, right? In the same way, let's give a simple thing like sign up and login. So in the sign up, I'll add some fields. You try to add your own fields. And the best thing is, we'll be using a well-known method because Python is an object-oriented programming language. It provides with multiple and abundant built-in methods, right? So first, let's go to our project folder, which is building API. Just make it simple. First and best thing is you need to activate your virtual environment. So in the virtual environment, you can have any number of project folders. This is your root directory, because that's how when you see any application online, whether it is a web development application or anything, whether you see a website working, it has some particular folders for the database files and for static HTML files and for the static CSS or JS files and the templates which has HTML files, everything it has. The same way, now I am into this environment, I'll start working on my Python file. So it's better to go to our IDLE and open the file, right? Because if I open here, I can do it. What is my file name? Registration form.py. See, it is exactly, it doesn't open over here because we have just made it to be created. We are in the environment, it is just executing. If I run Python registration form.py, there is nothing to be printed, right? So what we'll do is, we'll open that thing with IDLE. I'll just right click on this and you can have this option. Don't double click it. Don't double click. Please don't do that. Most of the people will do that because this is not your system MS Office file. Because you can double click a PPT or a doc or text file to open. Never ever double click Python file or Java, any program files. Just right click on that and choose for the edit with or open with options. I'll click edit with IDLE. There you go. I am into this particular location. I can start writing my code over here. So my comment is building a simple registration form. I try to build a simple registration form where I'll use the better thing, which is working on hash method. Because when you go for hash method, I'll just open Python shell here. When you go for hash, because you see the color is being changed, that is a built-in function. You can see over there. And when you go for asking help of hash, always try to use documentation. Always go for asking help method because it returns the hash value for the given object. Two objects that compare equal must also have the same hash value, but the reverse is not necessarily true. What do you mean by hash here? Because Python is one of the most popular high-level languages, right? Because it takes the procedure, it takes the procedure properties from C and object properties from C++, and it can be cross-platform, and we mainly using for the making sure crossbreed platforms. Basically, if you have any application in PHP or Java, we can migrate it to Python. We can use the same functionalities, right? So in the same way, Python comes up with abundant built-in libraries that has hundreds of modules and functions, which we have already worked on built-in functions, and we have also discussed on many built-in modules. It's all about how do you go for it. The next important thing is, when you go for hash method, it is basically used to return the hash value of an object. Something like if you write hash of any number, suppose if you give hash of 26, because everything is an object, for integer you cannot see the differentiation over there, but generally when we go for this immutable objects or when you go for any string, suppose if I give any string like this, I'll pass my name hash of Saket, you could see some huge number over there. That means it is basically storing in another format. To make it very simple, hash method returns the hash value, because hash values are basically numbers only. They are used to compare dictionary keys using a dictionary lookup quickly, because ID is different. When I ask ID of Saket, ID is different because it is the memory location. It returns the identity of that particular object. So this is your ID and this is your hash value. Even when I execute the hash value again, you see there is no change in the hash value because that is used for the lookup. Why are we discussing about this? If you have any doubt in that, basically when you create a registration form, you shouldn't see the password, right? Yes, because that's how even when you go for creating password, actually they'll have the details of your password, but they are basically in encrypted format. right? So he'll ask you to at least 6 characters. That means he'll ask you to find up with some special characters or anything, even Facebook or Amazon, Swiggy. You basically go with Gmail sign in. But what we'll do is we'll try to make sure our password is in hash format so that you cannot see the exact number. Whether you give it alphanumeric or number, in the same way, we'll just try to make it into the hash format. Whether when you go for hash of anything, suppose like if I go for an immutable object, like I'll give a tuple over there, tuple of hash of 26. If I throw in this way, see, basically hash methods mainly works for immutable objects, whether it is a string or tuple. In that way, we'll just use it. Now we'll follow the same format where we'll create a simple class and make our password to be hash format, where we'll create a class. First, we'll create a dictionary so that we'll save our methods. What are the methods? Sign up method, login method. In sign up, I'll be mainly concentrating on username and password. You can give email, whatever you want. It's up to you. So first, let's create a simple class. I'll create a simple dictionary to store user details. That means username and password. So I'll give my dictionary name as users. So users is equal to empty dictionary, because when I give type of users, automatically that is an empty dictionary. Until and unless we pass the values one by one, that is set, because this is not set. If I ask print of type of users, you could see the same difference. When you just execute this print of type of users, you could see that as a dictionary automatically, right? Now we'll just create a simple class to create our registration form. So first I'll go for class. My class name is register, class of register, no object over there. My doc string is building a basic registration form, building a basic registration. You can tell form or whatever it is, it's up to you. Now we'll just go for initializing the methods. You remember, right, when we discussed about classes, what is the first method to initialize the variables? Yes, it's obviously constructor. So define dunder init, and what is the first argument which stores the memory of every method, every object over there, which is self. That is mandatory. And you write variable other object is app, where we'll just refer with this self dot app is equal to app. That's how we are declaring it. That's fine. That's the first method, which is a constructor. Then we'll go for creating our methods, which are, first one is sign up method. So in sign up method, what do we throw? We just throw the first as a reference, anything that is self. Then we ask username, and then we ask password, because this is very, very important when you are declaring it. In the same way, we'll build any registration form. That's the main thing when you go for building a web application. You should understand, whether you go for Django or any other web framework, it's simple. So what I'm trying to do is, I'm trying to make sure my password should return the hash value. So for that, I'll give p is equal to hash of, what is a variable? It should be given by user. Whatever user enters, that should be converted to hash format. It is a dictionary, right? How do you update the values into a dictionary? You just go for, what is the method? Users dot, it's a dictionary, right? You go for update method, the same methods which are present. And what is the key? The key is username. And what is the value? The value is p, right? So we are updating this thing to our dictionary. Always remember, don't forget these fundamentals. If you don't know how to update a value into a dictionary, it's gone, right? So users dot update of, because why did I take update? You can directly pass a key and value, users of username equal to p. You can do in that way, but you don't know how many number of people will sign up, right? That's the reason you are creating a dictionary, unique key, and duplicate values you can have, but you cannot have duplicate keys, right? That is the reason they will not throw a same username. That is the same thing. That's what you see in general websites. The other method is login. So define login of self, comma, again for the login also you are just giving username, comma, password. There you go. And again, once it is logged in, say make sure you give p is equal to hash of password. the same way which we have given, because now if you are trying to log in, what you should do, if users of, how do you access the key and the value? How do you access the value? You throw the key. What is the key? Username. If users of username is matching with the password, then what it should return? It should return true, it is correct. It should return it is correct. Otherwise, if you are giving wrong password, what it should tell you? It should return false. I'll just execute it, then you'll understand. This is a very simple class where we are creating it. Now if you save it and if you execute this, you already know when you ask directory of register, it's a class, right? You are creating, that is in, you can initialize that thing to an object. When you go for directory of register, what are the methods? Login, sign up. That's a simple, right? So now what we'll do is we'll go for assigning an object. You just make sure you assign an object for it. You go for creating u1 is equal to, that's a first user, u1 is equal to register of, because it is expecting app, right? It's a basic registration form, because we gave self comma app, that should be passed, because you can pass anything over here. I'll give that as object 1, that's a first object. Then you pass here, first you need to go with, what are the methods available within it? Sign up and login. Without sign up you cannot log in, right? So I'll just pass sign up of, I just give my username and password. My username is Saket Reddy. I just give username and I'll keep my password so that it should be encrypted. Make sure you keep that is, whether it is consisting of alphanumeric or anything. So just sign up. To sign up, basically give your username and password, that is mandatory. Then you can cross check with the users and you can just cross check with the login, so that it should return true. That because here we just gave the same thing, p is equal to hash of password. If users of username is matching, it should return true. There you go. Now what I'll do is I'll execute this. Nothing will be printed because we did not give anything over there, but cross check users. There you go. This is your username. What happened to our password? It is returning the hash value because we gave p is equal to hash of password. Then let's try to log in. Let's try to log in here. That is users dot, we can give login, sorry, users is dictionary, right? u1 dot, u1 is our object, u1 dot login of, what is the username we gave? We gave use, because I know my password, right? If I give my password correctly, then it will open. Otherwise, it will throw me an error, which is false. If it is giving true, that means our username and password are correct, because you know it. But what I'll do is, I'll throw one another thing. There you go. It is returning false because you gave the password as wrong. That is the reason I gave here return true, else return false, so that we can verify it. Suppose if you try to give here return success, and if you want to throw here, this is wrong password, save and execute again. There you go. Go for users. First give users. You got, see, password again, hash value returning a different thing. And first try to log in. u1 dot, make sure if you give u1 dot app, see what is the object? obj1 and u1 dot login. So try to just log in with your credentials. My credentials are this. You can give your own credentials and check with it. Then what happened? It is returning you success. You can write any string over there. It's not anything. You should follow the my things. So it's fine. Now if I give the password, what it is returning? Wrong password. That is how backend developers will communicate with front-end developers to communicate whatever we are giving. So that is how you can clearly check up with the login method. If we give wrong password, it's done. If we give right password, it is success. You can customize it anything here. Whatever string you want to give, you can give. I'll just go with the Boolean way. I'm comfortable in that. You can give your own way. It's up to you. right? So that is how we have created a simple registration class with the help of hash method, because hash method is completely storing your password. If you want to create one more user, go for it. u2 is equal to, what I'll give u2 is equal to, because you can assign, you can create multiple objects, right? It's up to you. obj2, and I'll give u2 dot sign up of, I'll just give any other name. I'll just give it as Sony, and I'll just give the password as 1234. That's it. So what I'll do now, I'll save this and I'll execute this. If you go for users, you see you should have 2 users. There you go. See, even you can get some negative values. It is fine because it is being updated over there. There is no reason you should get only positive values. If you go for u1.app, you get object1. If you go for u2.app, it's an object2. And let's log in with the u2 name, that is u2 of, what is the username? Sony, and I gave the password 1234. You can create multiple things because the password what I gave here, you can just cross check. I think I gave in string. Yes, that is the reason it is giving you false. So it's up to you how do you throw it. Just make sure if it is returning false, that means you have given the wrong password. There you go. That is how we have understood how do you create a simple logic for our registration form. Now what we'll do, we'll try to build an API for this, where we'll give a simple front end, where we include some HTML tags. Then we'll go for adding our Bootstrap library, where we'll be using Sublime text. I'll be making it very simple. If you don't know about anything about Sublime, no issues, we'll just install it and we'll just work on it, right? So your constructor, your signup method, your login method, everywhere we are using hash method to return the hash value of our password, so that we should not see the password in our output. It should be something like encrypted. You can think in that way. For general terms, it will be easier. Updating and returning. If the condition is matching, it is returning true. If it is not, it is returning false. That's what we have used our control statements and the concept of classes here. Make it simple, practice yourself, it will be very much easier. I hope you have enjoyed watching it. If you have liked our content, please do hit like button and do subscribe to our YouTube channel for more useful content and exciting updates. If you want to learn such practical content at an affordable cost with Microsoft certification and instructor support, please register at academy.codegnan.com. You can also download app from Play Store as CodeGnan. Never hesitate to raise queries in the comment section, and please do reply with your suggestions for more practical videos. We'll be happy to come up with it. Thank you.